Let's see. I know you can't wait to see our future PIMA students perform. They'll be dancing very soon. I'd like to introduce my colleague here, Dr. Osorio, who's going to do a brief introduction in Spanish.
Hola, muy buenas tardes. Bienvenidos a PIMA College para esta celebración de Día de los Muertos. Vamos a presentar como el primer acto aquí a los bailarines próximos estudiantes de PIMA College.
And I'm going to introduce now our president here at East Campus, President Shar Fugit, who's going to be saying a couple of words, introductory remarks.
La introducción por Charlotte Fugit, la presidenta de este honorable campus.
Gracias. And that is the only word of Spanish that you will hear me say, because unfortunately I do not speak Spanish.
Sign up for my class?
I know I should. When I retire, I'm going to learn. Many people think because of my southern dialect I don't speak English all that well, so I hope that you can understand me. I do have the great fortune of serving as the East Campus president, and I want to welcome you to this special day, commemorating our loved ones who have gone before us and celebrating the love that we have for each other. There is a saying that it takes a village to raise a child. I think in order to do something that is this special, it takes a village to put on this kind of event. We're so fortunate to have our co-host here today, the Folklorio Ballet from Sunnyside. Welcome, thank you for joining us. We have sister campuses, especially Desert Vista and Downtown Campus, who have a number of faculty and staff who have devoted themselves to this special event. We have a number of our own departments, Student Services, Student Life, our cashier's office, who have helped put this on. But without hesitation, the most pivotal person in making this event happen is our own Dr. Luby Nuenos. Luby, thank you so much. Thank you so much. So I hope you have a wonderful time with us, enjoying the dancing, enjoying each other's company, and I want to thank you all for making the time to be at East Campus for this truly special event. Thank you all.
Thank you, President Fugit, for your introductory remarks. Now I'd like to introduce Adrian Smith and Dr. Darla Zerbis, who's going to give us a little bit of background on the cultural heritage of this very important day that's been declared by the UNESCO as patrimony, as cultural heritage for all of humanity.
Aquí tenemos al joven que nos va a hacer una introducción al significado de esta fecha que ha sido declarada Patrimonio Universal de la Humanidad por UNESCO.
Mr. Smith?
The Day of the Dead is a unique festival that's the result of 16th century contact between Mesoamerica and Europe. Conceptually, it's a hybrid owing its origins to both pre-Hispanic Aztec philosophy, religion, and medieval European ritual practice. Ceremonies held during the Aztec summer months were mainly focused on the celebration of the dead. These were held under supernatural direction of the goddess Mictecacihuatl. Both children and dead ancestors were remembered and celebrated. It was also during this month that the Aztecs commemorated fallen warriors. According to Diego Duran, a 16th century Spanish priest, the Aztecs would bring offerings of food to altars in honor of the dead. They would also place small clay images that were supposed to represent the deceased on these same altars. When the Spaniards arrived in the 16th century, they brought the Christian holiday of All Souls' Day with them. This was a Roman Catholic holy day commemorating the dead in general, as well as baptized Christians who were believed to be in purgatory. Spanish priests were quick to see a correlation between the Aztec and Christian celebrations, so they moved the Aztec festival from summer to fall so that it coincided with All Souls' Day. This was done in the hopes that the Aztec holiday, which the Spaniards considered to be pagan, would be transformed into an acceptable Christian holiday. The result of this cultural blending is an event where modern Mexicanos celebrate their ancestors during the first 2 days of November rather than at the beginning of summer. While this modern festival has Christian components, it still maintains its indigenous Native American ones. Across Mexico, activities associated with Day of the Dead are fairly consistent from place to place. On the first day, families visit the graves of their relatives. During this time, they decorate the gravesite with flowers, earth, and candles. They also hold a kind of picnic at the gravesite where they interact socially among themselves and with other families and community members who are all gathered at the cemetery. The stories that are exchanged by the families often feature other people who are also buried in the same cemetery. In this way, Day of the Dead acts as a method of social cohesion between different groups of people. Folks gathered around the graves are there not only to celebrate their ancestors, but to celebrate the role that those ancestors played in a larger community. The meals prepared for these picnics include tamales and pan de muerto, a special bread in the shape of a person. Many people believe that it's good luck to be the one who bites into the plastic toy skeleton hidden by the baker in each rounded loaf. Sweets are also included in the feast. These include cookies, chocolate, and sugar skulls. Friends and family members exchange gifts consisting of sugar skeletons or other items with a death-related iconography. Oftentimes, a gift is more prized if the skull or skeleton has one's own name written on it with icing. As in the case of pan de muerto, when the celebrant takes a bite out of the skull, the person symbolically takes a bite out of death, and thereby inoculates themselves against the fear of death. Decoration is not restricted to grave sites. Oftentimes, people set up home altars dedicated to the same relatives. These are profusely decorated with flowers, primarily yellow and orange marigolds and chrysanthemums. These were called cempasúchil and are a clear holdover from pre-Columbian times. For the Aztecs, the color yellow referenced the autumn, a season when nature begins to die. The arc, or arco, that forms a semi-halo at the top of the altar is symbolic of the path taken across the heavens by the dead. As in the case of the gravesides, home altars also adorned with religious amulets and food offerings. The foods chosen are generally those that the deceased enjoyed during his or her life. This can run the range from different kinds of fruit to cigarettes and alcoholic beverages. Mezcal is a favorite. All in all, the altar represents a recognition of the cycle of life and death that is part of the human existence. There is some slight variation in how Day of the Dead is observed in Mexico. For instance, its celebration in large cities like Oaxaca leans more toward the secular than the sacred. Also, foodstuffs and altar construction are logically enough dependent upon the natural resources of the area. Nonetheless, what seems to be maintained throughout is the remembrance of the dead and the celebration of the continuity of life and the community.